When an elderly truck driver comes across a woman in labor, he thinks of his helpless grandson and jumps in to help her. Little does he know she will soon become his greatest help. Arthur's grandpa, that's who Frank was. Any soul in his neighborhood knew him as Arthur's grandpa, not by his name. That was only after Frank's only son and daughter-in-law were killed in a car accident months ago. Losing his family aged Frank in an instant, and the prospect of losing custody of his grandson due to his inability to provide for him exacerbated matters. But things would change one day when he realized he had two choices: sit and cry or pull himself together for the sake of his grandson. Frank chose the latter even though the path was laden with thorns. Frank started working as a deli meat truck driver, which barely provided for him, so raising Arthur was out of the question. Yet he fought for his grandson's custody and gave his best to save the young boy from the shelter system. "I'm afraid I won't be able to help you, sir. You don't quite meet the state's requirements for raising your grandson as far as your finances are concerned," Judge Hanks, who was in charge of the case, had told him. Frank thought about those words every day and every moment. His life would have no meaning if Arthur wasn't with him, so he started taking extra shifts at the company. He needed money to prove he could raise his grandson, and he would do anything for that. One morning, Frank was driving his delivery truck to a new neighborhood when he saw a woman in the middle of the road. He pulled over to the side of the road and got out, only to discover the woman was in labor. "Jesus, we need to take you to the hospital. Just a moment, ma'am." Frank hurried over to his truck and dialed 911 from his phone. "A pregnant woman's in labor. Please send help immediately," he cried. "It's urgent, all right?" "Ma'am," he said, returning to the woman, "please hang on, help is on the way." But the woman was in a terrible state. Frank could see that. If she didn't reach the hospital on time, her child would be in danger. At that moment, Frank remembered his grandson and how much he meant to him, and he decided to take the woman to the hospital on his own. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I'm afraid we can't wait. If you allow me to help you, I can take you to the hospital." The woman, moaning in pain, nodded. That would be very helpful, sir," she said breathlessly. "All right, let's first help get you up." So Frank assisted the woman to the truck, but the seat was too high for her to reach. Exhausted with the pain, she soon collapsed near the truck and Frank's heart started to pound. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Are you okay? Lord help her." Thankfully, minutes later, Frank heard the ambulance siren and he ran to the road, waving his arms. "Here, we need help!" Two paramedics got down from the ambulance and rushed the woman to the hospital. Frank didn't want to leave her alone, so he locked his truck and accompanied her. He'd already texted his boss saying he was in an emergency and asked someone to take care of the deliveries. At the hospital, Frank hoped the woman and baby were safe. He remembered the time his daughter-in-law was in labor. They were all so worried for her until they heard little Arthur's cry. "Dear Lord," he prayed in tears, "help the woman and her child. Please stand by her side and help her. Oh, I hope everything goes fine." Thankfully, God had heard Frank's prayers. A doctor exited the ward with good news that the woman had birthed a healthy baby girl. All thanks to Frank, the woman and her baby were rushed to the hospital in time. After the woman was moved to a regular room, Frank visited her. She was in tears and thanked him for helping her. "Thank you, sir," she said. "I just don't know what I would have done if it weren't for your help. Thank you for paying for the ambulance as well. Please leave your account details with the staff. We'll leave you reimbursed." "Please don't worry about that," Frank said politely. "I have a grandson. He's just 6. He's my world, so I know how important this was." "No, please, I really can't take your money, sir. You've done enough for us," she said. All right. Don't stress yourself. By the way, I'm Frank, and who's this sweet little angel?" he asked, looking delicately at the baby sleeping beside the woman. The woman smiled. "I'm Alice. My husband wanted to name our daughter Rosie. He works as a businessman abroad, so we don't see him often. I was visiting my sister's house a couple blocks away when I went into labor. I told a nurse to inform her and she should be there soon." "You're lucky," Frank blurted out. "Sometimes, honey, a family's all you need. That's the most valuable treasure." "Frank," she said gently, "are you okay?" Frank shook his head. "I'm not okay, darling. I'm just not. I lost my family a few months ago and it's only my grandson and me now. I don't know what to do. I might lose his custody because I'm not in the best shape financially. Things have been no less than a disaster." "That's awful, Frank. Is there anything I can do?" "Oh, please no. I'm sorry I bothered you with this. I should leave. I have to be home on time." Frank left the room and Alice felt terrible for him. "You'll never forget my reward. I promise that, Frank," she told herself. "I will return your favor." Frank had no idea what Alice was about to do and how it would turn his life around. The next day, Frank was about to leave for work when his phone pinged with a notification. He tapped on the message and put on his reading glasses only to be shocked. "This is unbelievable. This is not my money." Frank's account had been credited with so much money that he wouldn't have to worry for the rest of his life or for Arthur's upbringing. It had to be a mistake, he thought, and hurried to the bank to inquire about the mysterious deposit. Frank could have kept the money if he wanted, but that would be wrong. "That transfer's been made to your account, sir. There's no error," the bank clerk assured Frank. "But who could have made this transfer? I'm a regular truck driver, sir," he cried. That's when his phone pinged with another message, this time from Alice. "Thanks for leaving your details with a receptionist. Kindness is what helps us survive in this crazy world, Frank. Keep the money with gratitude, and I hope you get your grandson's custody. No money can compare to what you did for me. You saved my daughter and I. Thank you. I shall be forever grateful to you, Alice." Frank cried at the unbelievable kindness Alice showed him. She gave him a reason to live happily again. She saved his grandson, whose custody he won in the end. Frank still drives the deli truck though, relieved that he would never be separated from his grandson. Now all he wants to do is proudly raise Arthur on his own and live a long, happy life with him. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.